93 is going to push the 4 to Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it,
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around, the 5 gets around. Big show for the first one. The road to $10,000 runs through the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is round number 14 of the Nascar Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. And we have ourselves a championship battle going in to these final 4 races. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Joe Cortez here to call all the action for you. And gentlemen, mathematically, it's more than 4 drivers that are involved in this, Tony, but we talked about it before we came on the air this evening. There are 4 drivers that have shown throughout the first 13 rounds of the series that they have what it takes to vie for a championship. Question is, who is going to be solid over each of these next 4 races to take away $10,000, a trip to Homestead, the trip to the banquet, all the other things that go with it. It comes down to these final 4.
It does, and you couldn't have a more diverse schedule of races, Tim. We've got Atlanta, Darlington, Richmond, and Homestead, 4 very different racetracks that all require something different to be successful. And the guy, like you said, that's up top of the point standings has probably been one of the guys that's been proven so far this season to be one of the leaders in any situation, that being Michael Conti. He has 3 wins and a 23-point advantage over 2-time champion Ray Alfalla. Nick Ottinger is 3 points back of Alfalla, so he is 26 off the lead. Chad Lawton is 4th. He is 3 points further out, and therefore he is 29 off the lead. Realistically, I think those are the only 4, Tim, that have a shot at getting into a championship battle coming down towards Homestead. And Joe, really, all four of those drivers have won a race this season. They've all finished in the top 5 a good number of times, and pretty much have the best record of anybody within mathematical earshot of the championship run.
And something you forgot to mention, though, Tony, is the fact that these guys have already accounted for their drop race this season. Remember, in those first 11 races, or 12 races, if we had a Richmond race, you get to drop the worst race in that set. So these guys have already dropped they've already dropped their drop race. That race is gone. So, the good news is we now know exactly where the points stand. There's no more speculation, there's no more guessing. We know exactly where everybody stands. And as it is right now, Conti, Alfalla, Ottinger, Lawton, 29 points separate the top 4, and those are really going to be your horses that are going to be able to be chasing in these last 4 races of the season. And we talk about those drivers that are in the top 4, gentlemen. Nick Ottinger starts 2nd. Michael Conti, point leader, starts 3rd. Ray Alfalla starts 4th. All the way down to position number 29 on the starting grid is Chad Lawton. If Lawton wants to keep himself in this championship battle, he's got a long way to go in 163 laps here this evening. When you look at these standings, yes, we have to keep in mind, we do have a championship battle. Yes, the top positions pay either prize money or iRacing credit for those top positions, but let's look back to 20th as well. You need to lock yourself into this series in order to get into 2015 to try to vie once again for the $10,000 top prize. And there is a very interesting battle back there right now on the bubble. It's Michael J. Johnson in 20th with 276 points. 5 points behind him is PJ Sturgis. And guys, keep in mind, PJ Sturgis finished dead last in the first 2 races of the season. He started out with 2 points in the first 2 races. Trey Eidson is back there. Rob Ackley is outside looking in. And then you have 2 veterans, Tony, in Brad Davies and Brian Schoenberg, looking to get their way back into the series. And they have a little ways to go because they have about 30 points in order to get back there.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a climb. Certainly doable. All it takes is a couple of solid runs like, say, for instance, Schoenberg had at the beginning of the year. But it's going to take a little bit of luck as well. 4 races, 30 points, still very doable, however, Joe.
That's going to make for some very entertaining racing tonight. And as you look at the warm-up guys, Michael Conti on top of the board, Ray Alfalla right behind him. So you know those cars are going to be very, very quick tonight. Should be a very entertaining night for racing. Partially cloudy here in Atlanta, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. The air temperature, winds coming out of the south for about 4 miles per hour, and some relative partial humidity out here for these guys are going to have to go through for the next 163 laps at the big quad oval.
And we are going to step away and reset for the grid for this evening's race, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we do have a big story with one of our drivers here this evening. We'll get to that as soon as we return. This is the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.
Side Peak Antifreeze, 65 years of experience, hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
You got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
First thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump them around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Getting ready to go green here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for round number 14 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Joe Cortez here to take you through 163 laps. And we'll start with the starting grid for this evening's race, and it's an all Gale Force Sim Racing front row. 34, Matt Busa starts in the pole position with a 28.55. And to the outside, the 05, looking for a championship this season, Nick Ottinger.
Good way to start out a pursuit of that, but right behind him is the guy leading the points. In third, Mike Conti in the number 5, and Ray Alfalla, another championship contender, starts in P4.
In row number 3, the 32 of Danny Hansen starts position number 5. Outside of him, the double nickel, the 55 of Brian Schoenberg starts 6th.
All Cody Bias Racing next row. It's Brad Mahar in the 13. To the outside, 27 is Cody Bias.
Chris Overland and Adam Gillen will make up row number 5, Joe.
Kenny Humpy, number 58 machine, in the inside of row number 6. On the outside of him, Byron Daly going 3 wide in the number 93, position number 12.
We got Mr. Justin Bolton starting in position number 13. To the outside, going to be Brandon Schmidt in the 3.
PJ Sturgis rolls off in P15. Thomas Lewandowski will begin the night from outside row number 8.
The 11 of Brad Davies starts position number 17. On the outside of him, the 82 of Alex Warren, 18th.
Couple guys that got to go in the last 4 races this season. Rob Ackley in the 22 and Brandon Hoff in the 23.
Brandon Hawk is in the 53 in position 21, and Stephen Gilbert's 37 is alongside him.
Row 22 belongs to the 39 of Michael J. Johnson on the inside, the 54 of Brandon Bowie on the outside.
We got Carson McClellan rolling off from 25th. To the outside, it's Jake Sturgis, 41.
Alex Scribner's number 50 starts 27th, and Peter Bennett will flank him.
Row number 15 belongs to Chad Lawton on the inside, Brian Day on the outside.
Going to be Landon Harrison rolling off 31st. Trey Edson going to roll off in 32nd.
And a couple big stories the back of the field. Brandon Chaburko not taking time. He'll start 33rd. Brian Blackford in car 33 starts 34th.
Finishing out the grid tonight of 36 cars, Brandon Cattell, Mitchell Hunt, both electing not to take time. That will be your grid of 36 drivers that will take the green flag in just half a lap here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
It's 163 laps around this racetrack this evening for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Glad you could be with us here on PSR TV, iRacing Live, and all of our affiliates as we get ready to throw the green flag for the first time this evening. Matt Busa in car number 34 will start from the front row along with the 05 of Nick Ottinger. Ottinger comes in 26 points behind the championship leader, Mike Conti, who starts right behind him. Pace car in, and here comes the 34 of Matt Busa. He's trying to get a victory here this season. Starts it off right. Green flag, and the 34 gets a pretty good start.
He does get a little bit of a jump down on the inside into turn number 1. This is the treacherous part of the night. Getting into turn 1 on a racetrack that is notoriously low on grip, cold tires, low air pressures, and so far it looks like, Joe, the entire field is going to make their way through turns 1 and 2. Now off into 3 and 4, and somehow they're still side by side for the top spot. Busa and Conti, he's going to get the advantage off the 24-degree banks, and he'll cross the line first at the completion of lap number 1.
The three-time winner looking to make it 4 wins as he leads the pack through turns number 1 and 2. Now here comes the 2 of Ray Alfalla with some help of the 05. That belongs to Nick Ottinger. Ottinger can't hang. He's going to come back on the outside. Look who's underneath. Danny Hansen now looking for position in 3 and 4.
And that's big, guys. The 5 of Conti leads that lap, gets the extra bonus point. That's 1 more point than currently Ray Alfalla, the 05 of Ottinger, and Chad Lawton do not have, as Alfalla moves to second, and now it's Busa on his back bumper. As you look back from the 34, you see Danny Hansen and the 05 of Nick Ottinger going at it. There's a lot of single file racing right now as you look back through this pack. First battle might be about 15th or so.
Battle further back in the field, and already now that battle for 5th starting to pick up just a little bit. Nick Ottinger, well, he's on the outside of the racetrack running with Danny Hansen, and now he's on the outside. Hansen with a new sponsor he just announced today. That's one of the stories we'll be covering, but now he's under fire. Brandon Schmidt is right there as well, the number 3. Ottinger in the middle of that fracas too, and things are starting to get a little dicey up front, Joe.
Nick Ottinger makes the pass the hard way now on the backstretch. He will inherit that position number 4. Brad Mahar in 5th, Chris Overland 6th plus or minus, and then there's a 32 of Danny Hansen hung in for the first 4 laps, and now he is dropping like a rock in a cold pond.
Talked about the way that Gale Force Racing was running already this evening. You look at Cody Bias, you look at Adam Gillen, 7th and 8th right now. Their teammate Brad Mahar runs in position number 5. There's 3 drivers from Cody Bias Racing running well here this evening. 1 ducks out of line, that's Justin Bolton, same team to the inside of, I believe that is the 55 of Brian Schoenberg to move himself into the top 10. Byron Daly going to try to come through as well, and Kenny Humphrey's got a lot of damage to the front of the 58. That thing is all tore up in the front end, Tony.
Is certainly mashed in. Not sure who or what Kenny Humphrey got into, but nonetheless, he is still digging. But you got to be sure that is hindering his performance for the time being. Now, just in front of him, guys, is Byron Daly. Now, we know Byron Daly is a team member of Slip Angle Motorsports. Same thing with Ray Alfalla. As you look there on the back of that Newtelligence-driven steering wheels forward of Byron Daly. The other teammate in that Slip Angle Motorsports group, guys, we're going to take our cameras all the way back to about 36th spot. That's Brian Blackford. This is one of the big stories emerging tonight, and there'll be some more details we hear coming out as time goes on, but the short version is Brian Blackford is an inspiration tonight. He was in a little bit of a freak accident over the weekend. He's got some elbow injuries and some burns and things along his body, but you know what? He said, guys, I don't care. Whatever you've got to do, get me in a race car, get me out with the Peak Antifreeze Series, and it's exactly what he is doing tonight. Still making laps. He's not quite up to speed, but he's battered, he's bruised, and he's out here absolutely doing what he wants to do, Joe. And that in itself is an inspiration to know that Brian, not even 48 hours removed after the accident, his focus is on doing this right here, despite whatever physical challenges he might have been faced with now in the last 48 hours.
Down the back straightaway we go, and Tony, as you mentioned, racing heals all wounds, or at least attempts to, so it's great to see Brian out here and doing what he loves. Up in front, it's Michael Conti leading. Ray Alfalla, his teammate, or Blackford's teammate, runs in second right now. Nick Ottinger in position number 3, Busa 4th, and Chris Overland has just moved to position number 5, and it looks like Brad Mahar has fallen back 2 positions, and he will move back to position number 7 as Cody Bias also makes the move there. So what I'm seeing here, Tony, it looks like the Gale Force Racing guys, they had a good qualifying setup, but maybe they're not showing everything that they have, or maybe they got a long run setup in, because right now they've fallen back 3rd and 4th.
They have, Tim, but it's not like they've fallen far off the lead right now. They're in 3rd and 4th spot, and that's not really unheard of by any means. In fact, last time by, Ottinger picked up a little bit on Mike Conti. And one of the keys to Atlanta, as much as this racetrack changes, as much as the tires wear off, and as much as you have to move around, there's a good chance you're not going to be good at the end of the run and good at the beginning of the run, Joe. It is ultimately the true essence of racing, compromise. It is embodied here in Atlanta. You got to pick. Do you want to be good? Problems.
Trouble 22 in the grass right now. Got into some trouble. Looks like it's going to be a 3-car incident where Rob Ackley getting the worst of it as he takes the ride through the infield. Starts around the 39, the 55, and the 58 having trouble again with the 55 of Schoenberg. That was the guy who we got caught up with the first time to give him that damage up there. So it looks like we might have a little bit of trouble out there, or a story brewing with the 55 of Schoenberg, who is not happy with his car, it seems.
Yeah, we're still under green right now as Schoenberg has a lot of damage to that number 55. He chases down the 54 in front of him, of Brandon Bowie, but you'll see the replay there in the box. There's a lot of damage to the 55. Rob Ackley went through pit road, and the 58 of Kenny Humpy also went to pit road on that exchange. Michael Conti leads by 2 car lengths over Ray Alfala. Nick Ottinger in 3rd, Busa, Overland, top 5, and it's about to change because here comes Cody Bias to the inside, the 27. Will take position number 5 as they drag race down into corner number 1 of the 27 of Bias trying to take 5th.
Bias starting to rumble just a little bit here as we've got more cars trying to make things, manicured in the front straightaway grass. And Bias, very impressive to see him moving forward. Not a surprise, though. Same with Chris Overland as they swap those spots again in turn number 3. And a little bit further up front ahead of this battle, Tim, as we continue to watch cars side by side all throughout the Speedway, including Chad Lawton trying to dice his way through the field, trying to dispose, for that matter, of Brandon Hoff and Brandon Chaburko. Nick Ottinger, a couple laps ago, Joe, real loose, real sideways off turn 2. Starting to wonder if maybe they didn't go too far in one direction on that Gale Force Racing bunch, where maybe they need to tighten that thing up just a little bit so it's good all throughout the run on average and not exceptional at the end and, well, just junk at the beginning. Not that he's junk right now. I mean, he is running 3rd.
Well, you hit on the nail right on the head earlier there, Tony. This sport, motorsports, is a matter of balance, and it's a matter of compromise. It's not about having the best car at the beginning or the end of the run. It's about having the best car all the way through it. And I think those Gale Force guys need to figure something out there. They need to figure out what they need to do to make those cars strong all race long, not to mention the fact that iRacing has done an incredible job of aging these cars a little bit with the new tire model, with the new physics model, the physics package on these cars. They've done an excellent job of simulating how these cars will fall off throughout the race, which is a challenge these drivers have never had before, up to about, 4 or 5 races ago?
And you see the drafting model come into play there as you look back to the 13, the 36, and the 32 from the 8 of Adam Gilliland. Those 3 are teammates, the 8, the 13, and the 36. The 32 of Danny Hansen trying to make his way by the 36, or at least try to find a hole to make an opportunity for himself. They chase Chris Overland in position at number 6 as you ride on board with Brad Mahar as the 36 got the wall at a corner number 2, and here comes Danny Hansen to the inside.
So Hansen going to try to move up a spot in that Pro Geek Consulting, number 32. And, good news for Danny Hansen today was announced. He, along with Garrett Smithley, going to be running some major, let me back up. They have got a new sponsor on board with that group. SegPay is coming on board with that organization, and it's going to help Danny Hansen here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. But, Joe, it's also a multifaceted deal. It's not just here in the iRacing Peak Antifreeze Series, but it also extends to, and I haven't exactly got the details from Garrett, but it sounds like Garrett is looking at a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season next year, or at least the Daytona opener with SegPay on board. Certainly great news to see. Now, professional drivers at the highest levels of racing are using not only iRacing as a training tool, but now it's becoming part of their marketing and part of their sponsorship packages. Absolutely awesome, and you know that's got to give Danny Hansen a shot in the arm as he runs in 8th now, chasing down Brad Mahar.
Oh, of course, gives him a shot in the arm. As we've talked about more and more offline, this only legitimizes the importance of this sport, not only as a development tool for drivers, not as a development tool for drivers who are learning the sport, but also as a place for sponsors to prove their return of investment and retrieve their opportunities before they take their show to the big track.
Ottinger falls back 1 to Matt Busa. Busa will pick up position number 3 on that exchange and will try to inch a little bit closer to your top 2. The 8 of Adam Gilliland is falling back as he moves back behind Danny Hansen. And just behind him, it's Brad Davies pressuring the 93 of Byron Daly. Finally gets to the inside, and Tony, he was trying to push the 11 the last couple laps. As Davies gets a little bit loose off corner number 2, they'll drag race down the back straightaway. And it looks like Bolton and Lewandowski going to try to go with them as well. Very close battle back here for position number 10.
Very close, and Byron Daly choosing to look long-term. He just kind of lets those guys go, Tim, and says, I'll follow you instead of trying to risk my car right now and save something for later. So Davies gets by, Bolton gets by, and Lewandowski, as you said, while Byron Daly falls back 3 spots in the course of just 2 corners. But that's part of the thing about Atlanta, Tim, is it's so low on grip, and this tire model, iRacing has done such a great job of modeling the way these things fall off. You really got to conserve your tires and have something left, because at a place like Atlanta where the asphalt is so abrasive, the grip level is so low, as now we're watching the Danny Hansen, Chris Overland battle up here for 7th and 8th, Joe, you really have to maintain something under the car for balance. Otherwise, you will not be able to get back in the throttle, and you will not get down the straightaway, meaning you're going to be going backwards in a hurry.
Ian, you can't afford to go backwards at Atlanta Motor Speedway, one of the fastest 1.5-mile tracks these guys go to every year. It's only a shame that these guys visit this track once, just because the racing here is so much fun to watch. Danny Hansen picks up the position. He will inherit position number 7. Now he's been around the 13 of Brad Mahar, seeing what he can do around him. Meanwhile, Cody Bias at 27, he continues his march up front. He picks up 4th on Nick Ottinger.
And I'm looking back here around Brad Davies once again. Chris Overland lost a few spots on that last lap, gentlemen, and cut right in front of the 11 of Brad Davies. And a veteran of this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. I don't know if Brad's going to have a little bit of patience here, Tony, but I don't think he's going to have enough patience for long, as that number 11 is flat flying. You can look back to the 11 from the 47 of Chris Overland, another one of those drivers that started up front and is falling back a little bit. Actually, he started 9th, and he's currently 9th. But he did get up to the top 5, Tony, at one point in this race, and now he begins to fall back to the 11, the 16, Justin Bolton, Byron Daly, and the rest of this field.
Yeah, very impressive with Brad, or very impressed with Brad Davies right now. The march he has made through the field, and we haven't talked a whole lot about Brad Davies the last few weeks, but for a guy that started 17th, already cracking his way into the top 10 right now, we talked about compromise. And Brad apparently has nailed it. He said qualifying's not the big deal. It's important, yes, but I'm focused on race setup, and he is heading to the front. And whoa, now he's heading sideways. Look at him, hang on to it at turn number 4. Somehow Brad Davies gets a handful of steering wheel. And once again, the bright lights that are the chinks of PSR TV gets on Brad Davies, but still an impressive save as he's able to hang on to that thing, Joe. And was just going to say, he nailed the art of compromise. He's on the outside looking in for a locked-in spot next season. This is what he's got to do to get into the top 20 for 2015.
Absolutely. Brad Davies, he's a competitor through and through. He's been doing sim racing as long as sim racing has been a sport. And if there's anybody who knows how to come back from that situation, it's Brad Davies. Meanwhile, back up front, let's run along with the 27 of Cody Bias as he stalks the 34 of Mabusa on the backstretch. Bias hunting into turn number 3. Can he do it? No, he's going to ride along the behind of the 34 of Busa for at least one more lap, but Bias is hunting tonight. He's got 1 pole this season. He wants to add to that with a win.
And there he goes to the inside. Busa lets him go, and Cody Bias will move in position number 3. And 2 laps ago, he was mirroring the laps that Ray Alfala was putting up. Looks like Ray might be just a touch faster than Michael Conti, or about the same pace. It seems like they trade laps back and forth. But I think Cody Bias may be consistently faster over the run. Keep in mind, he's 2.7 seconds behind Michael Conti and Ray Alfala. That last time by for Conti, 29.84 to Ray Alfala's 29.91. And keep in mind, Bias was trying to pass Busa. It was a 29.90 for the 27 of Cody Bias. So those 3 are pretty much putting up mirror times right now, Tony, albeit 31 laps into the run. We haven't had a caution yet, knock on wood. 163 laps to run. So far, so good for these guys, and I believe we may be starting to see pit stops here soon. Chris Overland putting the hand out. He might be possibly coming down the pit road here.
That's a pretty early stop for Chris Overland, no doubt. 32 laps into the run. I mean, obviously, he feels that's what he's got to do, but Joe, I don't exactly think that's scheduled by design. I mean, maybe it is, but that's rather odd for Chris Overland to come down. He's got 130-some laps still to go. That's not even 1 stop. I mean, if it is, it's the very, very outer limits. And being a track where you lose a lap, coming down pit road under green, I don't even think it'd be a force of strategy unless he's trying to force, Joe, everybody else to short pit around him. And I don't exactly see that happening as Overland gets 4 tires and a full tank of virtual Sunoco fuel. He is down and away, but it looks like routine service on the number 47 of Chris Overland.
Only thing I can think of, Tony, is he's going to try to play this back. He's going to try.
And what Joe's trying to say is he might be trying to run this race backwards here, but Conti, Alfala up in front. Tony, as you mentioned, I don't think you can afford to run this race backwards the way it is, because if we do have a caution here, right now as it stands, Overland is 1 lap down. He's not even the first driver 1 lap down. Blackford just went 1 lap down. He would be in the free pass position. Then you got Mitchell Hunt back there that's a lap down. Kenny Humpy is 2 laps down. He pitted earlier because of the damage that he had on the race cars. So I really don't think you can afford to run this race backwards. We left Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could run this race backwards, but it is such a huge gamble, especially at this point, Joe, or Tim. You're expecting this race to go caution-free, and Joe, after as much as we've seen these guys slipping and sliding and all over the racetrack, watch out, hello, just like that, betting on this race to go caution-free is about a 250-to-1 bet, I think.
So what you're suggesting is I shouldn't put my bet in Vegas anytime soon.
Yeah, unless you're waiting to cash in.
Yeah, you never know. This could be the race. Unlikely as it is, this could be the race. 36 laps in, we still have over 130 to go, but these guys are running incredibly well right now. Conti doing incredibly well, getting almost well over a second on Ray Alfala. Cody Bias in the mix. Mampusa, all these guys all running incredibly clean right now, and these guys are looks like they're having a lot of fun running this new tire model, this new physics package at Atlanta.
Ottinger falling back right now in position number 8. You ride on board with the Ream Camry as he falls back now. If Adam Gilliland can get up on the wheel and make sure it doesn't turn more than it should, he'll be the next on the list for Nick Ottinger. Up in front of them, I believe Danny Hansen is going to make up a spot. No, he's going to put the 33 behind him. So Danny Hansen continues in position number 5. Busa 4th. Cody Bias in position number 3. And it looks like the gap is stabilized right now to about 3 seconds between himself and your top 2. Conti has 1.6 seconds on Ray Alfala. Mitchell Hunt has retired from the race. He is done for the evening. Kenny Humpy still 2 laps down. Blackford and Overland at 1 lap down. Everybody else on the lead lap. Brian Schoenberg is 24 seconds behind your leader. And Tony, he's still sporting some heavy damage, and actually it's front and rear on the 55. That's doesn't look like a pretty 55 car.
No, and he's one of those guys we talked about the outset, Tim, that has to perform in the last 4 races if he wants a shot at getting into the top 20 and locking in. He started out the year so promising, had a bunch of bad luck, and that car beat up. It's all over the racetrack. The handle has gone away, and it looks like Brian Schoenberg's chances of having to lock in for next season are just about nil after maybe using his, well, not even a mulligan, after cashing in all the chips here tonight and that's not a good thing. He definitely now is going to need some help, Joe, if he's going to lock into the top 20 and not be forced to run the iRacing Pro Series in the offseason.
He's going to need a yellow. He's going to need a lot of help. There's a lot of things that he really needs right this moment, and none of them he's getting on lap 40. We're almost a quarter of the way done with this race. One of the fastest tracks on the circuit. Well, these guys are flying through this race. At this pace, guys, we could be done here in just over an hour.
Tony, did you say something earlier about a PSR jinx?
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I think we need to sit Joe down and talk to him about that. But nevertheless, so far so good. And yes, we've seen some of these races this season, Tony, where they've gone green to checker without a caution flag. We've seen the exact opposite of the series. And then again, we've seen some races where the first half runs green, the second half has a bunch of cautions, and vice versa. Right now, looking pretty good with the 36-car field. There's a lot of guys that are running their own line right now and keeping out of each other's way, but there is still a green flag pit stop at least to come up on the field, so that could very well play into hands here as well. Championship battle, you talk about the 26 at Chad Lawton, just made the move on made the move on Brandon Hawk. Next up is Michael J. Johnson for Chad Lawton. He runs 15th right now, and here comes Hawk back on the 26.
And Hawk trying to make up some sort of ground, and he's in a pretty good shape to do it. Pretty good shape to do it. And again, look at those cars sideways off the banking. That's how out of control you are. Well, how in control, maybe, which depending on how you look at it. As there goes Hawk now around Lawton, moving Lawton outside the top 15. I almost venture to say at this point, Lawton needs a caution, Joe. I think he's used up his tires and what he had in that car trying to make his way forward. I mean, he's made up what? He started close to, 30th almost back through the field? So to make up that much ground that quickly, you got to use some of it up. But now he's banking on a yellow, and of course, the way we've seen some of these guys sideways and out of control, that might not be too far out on a limb.
But isn't it true, though, that the more, if you feel like you're barely in control of the car, you're running as fast as you can? Well, these guys are going to get as dicey as they can to try to get as fast as they can around this very slick Atlanta track. Brandon Traburco now down on pit road getting service on his number 48 machine. The 8 machine was just down pit road a moment ago. That 8 belonging to Adam Gill. And now Brad Davies comes down to the attention of his crew. 4 Goodyear tires, full tank of Sunoco fuel down and away. Not sure if he had any adjustments on that 11 machine, but the seal has been broken, guys. These guys are now going to start coming down pit road more and more frequently. Brandon Hoff, in fact, just joined those ranks.
You see the 23 in the box going down pit road. We're watching this little battle between the 26 and the 39. They've been going at it. Brandon Hawk just passed these guys from position number 13, and looks like Chad Lawton going to pick up position 14 on that exchange on Michael J. Johnson. So he moves up one more spot as pit stops begin. Your top 3 have yet to come down pit road. Conti still has a 2.4 second lead over Ray Alfala, Cody Bias, Danny Hansen. I'm not sure Brandon Hastings is on the box, and he's not giving me any tells as to when the 5 is going to come down pit road or not, but I'm sure they'll be down within the near future, Tony.
I'm sure they will, and again, it's all about how long can you stretch it. We've seen this in the past. Guys trying to be on 3-stop strategies, 2-stop strategies, taking the advantage of the speed tires give them over the disadvantage of being on pit road. I mean, all these different strategies that play out, and sometimes it's hard to see what will work, and you are at the mercy, Joe, of the yellow flags, and these guys on stickers coming up 2 and 3 seconds quicker than guys on old tires sometimes creates a pretty hairy situation, and for the guys that have pitted, the last thing they need at this point is a caution flag.
The 36 of Justin not looking for that caution flag. He's taking the Best Western Chevrolet off of pit road right now. And now it's a question of who's going to come down pit road, but more importantly, when. I don't think two pit stops is going to be plausible for this racetrack, and that is just based on tire load. If you want to make this be competitive all race long, you're going to need those extra Goodyears underneath you, and which means you're going to have to need that extra stop. You're going to need that 3rd stop just to keep the car running in the right direction and keep it competitive on the track. 3 stops will be the call if we go green pole to pole. The question is, when do they take them? That's the one everyone's been gambling on.
you're going to need to go, 60 laps or so in order to make it 2 pit stops in this race, thereabouts, give or take. It's probably going to be stretching
55-ish.
Yeah, when you look at a guy like PJ Sturgis, or check that Jake Sturgis, who's made it stretch on fuel before, made it stretch on tires, I don't think it's, I think you can go 2 stops, Joe. I think we're going to see some of those guys do it. There's some guys that are going to try to make it 3 stops and try to be a little more comfortable and split it up a little bit. Conti stays on the racetrack here on lap number 50. He will lead the 50th lap of this race. Alfala and Cody Bias, your top 3. A couple of guys behind coming down, including Danny Hansen. Hansen coming down to his box, and I believe he may be the only one within the top 10 right now heading down, as he's going to lose a bunch of time here.
Certainly is, and here comes Hansen down pit road, like you said, Tim. This is a big stop for Hansen. He's one of the front runners, one of the first ones, and now he overshoots his stall. Oh, Danny Hansen overshoots his stall. That's not good news for him, as he's going to lose valuable time. And here comes the leader, Michael Conti, the man, on top of the field. The Simpedal Chevrolet down at 45 miles per hour, looking so carefully for that pit stall all the way down towards turn number 1. Here he is. He'll come to a stop on the marks. Crew goes around to the right-hand side. Jack is up in the air. Air guns go off, and it's going to be 2 brand new Goodyear Virtual Eagles on the right side as Nick Ottinger pulls in as well. Left side, similar service, a full tank of Sunoco Virtual Racing gasoline. Michael Conti is down and away, and it looks like he'll probably cycle around to about the same spot.
Meanwhile, the sim pedals forward of Ray Alfala comes to the attention of his crew this time by. He stayed out that last lap to pick up the extra bonus point for leading a lap. With that being said, crew.
So Lewandowski will lead here as Alfala goes down onto pit road, gets 2 tires on the number 2 to the other side. He will get the 4 tires. Lewandowski stays out on the racetrack that time, Tony, and will lead 1 more lap. And that's the important thing about Alfala staying out that extra lap than Conti did. 1 extra bonus point. Conti has it, Alfala has it. Now, Ottinger, Lawton, they're going to have to try to get that extra bonus point if they want to keep up.
Doesn't sound like much, Tim, but Ray Alfala knows the value of just 1 or 2 points. And by the time we get to Homestead with this 4-race mini chase type scenario we've got, it could be huge. We talked about how 2nd through 4th are separated by only 6 points. As you see Jake Sturgis on the screen, he's probably going to cycle around to the lead. Never mind. Here he comes down pit road as Matt Busa and Thomas Lewandowski come down. That's going to give the lead, looks like, up Byron Daly. Alex Scribner comes in. Well, we'll see who does cycle around to the lead here, Joe.
Hope to see who exactly cycles through as Matt Busa. Byron Daly now rejoined the racing service. Currently being scored as your leader was the 16 of Tom Lewandowski. He is now off pit road as he came down to the attention of his crew for 2 tires, full tank of fuel. According to logic, should be Chris Overland, who was the driver to come down pit road as your leader, followed by Adam Gill and Michael Conti, Justin Bolton, Ray Alfala, your top 5-ish. But we'll have to see exactly how that all cycles through. It appears, all indicators though, Chris Overland, your new leader.
So Overland is going to come by this time and get that bonus point, and will register as the leader at the stripe. So Adam Gilliland will now run in position number 2, and keep in mind Gilliland is trying to get into the top 10 in the standings. Currently sits 8 points behind Danny Hansen and Kenny Humpy. So if Adam can stretch it 1 more lap, it'd be beneficial to him as well, and it's a little more prize money at the end of the season when we're talking about the top 10 in points, Tony, as the 8 car of Adam Gilliland will see Chris Overland stay out on the racetrack, and as will he in the Gary Mercer Trucking number 8.
Yeah, and I'm curious how this is going to work out. Obviously, Overland pitted early. We talked about that, and he does cycle around to be the leader. However, the gap he had on Conti was only about 3 seconds, and if you multiply that over 2 or 3 stops, it's at most half a lap. I do not see this strategy playing out for Chris Overland the way that maybe he expected it to, unless, of course, the cautions fall his way. At this point, if they did, he'd still be in good shape. He'd be in the catbird seat, but that's a big gamble this early in the race, as they all are being chased down now by Mike Conti, and that gap, Joe, continues to shrink as Conti circulates here at Atlanta.
Conti continues to circulate, and he is really going to be the driver to beat tonight. He has proven so dominant so far in the beginning of the race, and I've got a feeling, Tim, if anyone you're going to want to watch, it's going to be Michael Conti, because he just seems to have something special in that number 5 tonight.
Yeah, he's got something pretty big, and here comes Adam Gilliland to try to take the lead away from Chris Overland, and he better run if he wants this bonus point, because Mike Conti is right behind them. The 5 is chasing them down, and he might get to Adam Gilliland before Gilliland is able to lead lap. I believe Gilliland's probably going to throw a block here to try to get that one bonus point at the stripe. The Gary Mercer trucking number 8, the 5 of Conti to the inside, and this might not work for Adam Gilliland. 5 car going to drag race the line. Gilliland's going to get it by about a fender, Joe. Conti back to the lead.
Photo finish for Adam Gilliland. Nonetheless, the point counts for the Goody Bias Racing number 8, and he will pick up that extra bonus point, which is every point counts, especially at the end of the season. Conti, he happily yields the lead to Conti, and he is gone, baby, gone.
And Tony, you have to believe, I didn't see the pit strategy for Adam Gilliland, but if he's up here with Overland, and I know Overland did short pit, have to believe that Gilliland already came down pit road to get service to his race car, but it works out for him, gets the 1 bonus point, and now he sits in position number 2. Yeah, if they get a caution, he and Chris Overland are looking pretty good right now, but so far, through 1 green flag cycle of pit stops, 61 laps completed this time by, doesn't look like we're going to see one.
It doesn't. Gilliland did come in, Tim, came in on lap number 42. That puts him 121 laps to make it on 2 stops. That's about 60 laps per stint. On the outer limit, but I think it might be doable. Again, catching a caution flag is going to be key to how everything works out. And right now, Adam Gilliland would love nothing more than to see a caution flag. Same with Chris Overland, as that would put them way up in the running order, and that would be something that I'm sure they didn't plan on, but would welcome with open arms. Alfala back and forth, Bias back and 5th. This field's starting to get very, very strung out at the moment, guys, and this is starting to get, assuming everybody can keep the race cars under control, it's starting to get that green flag look to it.
Tony, you're missing the point here, though. You're missing the point. Yes, he can make it on 2 stops. Nobody is arguing the physicality of it. What I'm arguing is the logic of it. Those tires underneath you, they are going to be shredded. They're going to be gone. There's not even going to be enough rubber on the end of them to put on the tip of a number 2 pencil. You don't want to run this race on 2 stops. I guarantee it. I will put money on it right now. 3 stops is going to be the call.
I think I'll disagree with you, Joe, and Tim, you can chime in however, but I think the time given up, we saw already, after everything cycles through, the time given up from, say, Michael Conti to Chris Overland, Adam Gilliland, it's 3-4 seconds once it cycles through. And they were already 8 or 10 seconds back behind Conti. I don't see it working. In theory, it could. If you had 2 identical cars, it might work, but right now, I think it's all going to be a 2-stop strategy that wins this race.
Yeah, I agree with Tony. I think it is going to be a 2-stop strategy. I don't think 3 stops is going to win this unless we have a caution that, you can add in a 3rd stop on that thing, but I don't think it's going to be a 3-stop race. Adam Gill and Chris Overland trying it right now, and they're running 2nd and 3rd, but it'll cycle through at the end of it. Ray Alfala is closing in on Chris Overland, and probably within the next couple laps or so, Chris Overland will stand to lose position number 3, as the 2 is there on the 47 wiggling. The 2 is probably going to try to dive in here within, if not this corner here, probably the next one. Tony and Alfala will go to 3rd, and he nearly gets into the 47 of Overland in the middle of 3 and 4, 2 to the inside.
Whoa, heads up in front of him, just about bought the farm. That was a red and black car. I didn't see exactly who it was, but it looks like it might have been Brandon Cattell having issues coming off turn number 4. And wow, that shows you just how on the edge of control you are here, as now Alfala is starting to move his way forward. You'll see the replay of that in the box momentarily. Had a great point I was getting ready to make, guys, but I completely forgot about. Oh, there's what it was. You talked about Tim being committed and Joe being committed to a strategy. I think here's the difference. Right now, they haven't committed to that strategy yet because they can still change it. They're involved in that strategy. And how do you tell the difference? I've always wanted to use this in a broadcast, but Junior Johnson, NASCAR Hall of Famer, everybody knows who he is. Here's how you tell the difference between involved and committed. Involved, look at your breakfast table. The chicken is involved. The pig is committed. I don't quite think those guys are committed just yet. They've got a little leeway to get out of this situation for the time being.
Well, technically, the chicken that was supposed to be in that egg's committed as well. I mean, don't overlook that.
Well, you're getting on a technicality there, Captain.
All I'm doing is pointing out a fallacy in your logic, which is why the 2 stops won't work. Logic.
Are we placing money on this? Because I'm about ready to say $20, 2 stops wins the race. Is that legal?
I already owe you 40.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm still trying to figure out when we're getting bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs sound real good.
We're going to Tim King. We're going to Burger Hortons or Tim King. That's where we're headed.
Oh, okay. We'll figure something out in the next couple of months. Nevertheless, Michael Conti can probably have whatever he wants right now. He could probably come down and get a Whopper or 2 because he is leading this race by 5 seconds over Adam Gilliland. Ray Alfala 6 seconds back. Cody Bias is in 4th, has moved to position number 4. Overland in position number 5. Bolton, Hansen, Mahar, Ottinger, who just moved to 8th over the 13, and Lewandowski completes your top 10. And guys, I still think Cody Bias, albeit the strategy not working out for him right now, he might have something here when we go down the stretch run, because he is catching the 8 and the 2 at this point, as the 8 and the 2 just swap the position. Alfala to 2nd as he navigates some lap traffic. I believe that's the 50 up there they're trying to put in the rear wheel.
And Tim, he might be catching him, but look, he's basically a quarter of a lap behind. 7.5 seconds behind is Cody Bias. I do not see him making up that kind of time and passing those guys in the course of 55 lap runs. It's not going to happen. I mean, we're almost already to halfway. So Cody Bias needs a caution if he's going to be good enough, and he's got to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I mean, yeah, Ray Alfala might be right in front of him, but he's not going to catch Michael Conti.
But also consider this. Right now, if the race were to end right now, you would have significant points implications on that. Conti Alfala 1st and 2nd. They would increase their lead over the rest of the field significantly. Nick Ottinger, who is in 3rd, coming into this race 3 points behind Alfala. He's all the way back in position number 8. Chad Lawton, who came in 6 points behind Alfala, he's all the way back in 15th. You would see the divide in the community if the race ends the way it does. In order to create a little bit of balance here and to still have a points race that's 3 races, something's going to have to give.
27 moves around the 8 of Adam Gilliland to put himself in position number 3. Bias comes in 15th place in the point standings. There's another point implication, if you want to call it, Joe, where he's trying to move up and get himself a little bit of compensation, per se, out of this season and try to get a little bit of prize money out of this 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Conti continues to lead by 6.2 seconds. Bias now in 3rd. He chases Ray Alfala. Alfala only about a half second or so in change in front of the number 27. Gilliland and Danny Hansen complete your top 10. Through all the strategy and everything that we've had with pit stops, there are 23 drivers in the lead lap right now. There's about a dozen or so, Tony, that are a lap down. Blackford 3 back, Humpy 3 back, Cattell and Hunt retired for the evening. We have 34 drivers on the racetrack right now.
You talk about Blackford back there, Tim, still to go off on a little bit of a caveat. Just amazing. And I know Slip Angle Motorsports and Brian are going to have a full recap of everything coming out in the next 24, 48 hours. But when you read the story, when you know everything that happened, Brian Blackford running around here in the situation he's in is just awe-inspiring. It's absolutely one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And that man is a trooper. I'll just put it to you that way. He is a trooper. As up front, we got Mike Conti still pulling away from this field, and Ray Alfala 6 seconds back. And here comes our second round of pit stops. Chris Overland comes in a little shy of halfway. And here we go, Joe. I don't think your 3-stop strategy is going to work by any means. We'll find out once it all cycles around, barring, of course, caution flags and things that can be thrown in the mix of it. But I think Mike Conti is going to be the man. And very simply put, The easiest way to win a points championship, guys, win races, and the points take care of themselves.
But the points championship is so much bigger than all of that, guys. Consider this. Whoever wins the season is going to have their name as a NASCAR. They're going to be a NASCAR champion. They're going to get the $10,000 prize. They're going to get honored as a champion. So, guys, it's more than just points. It's more than bragging rights. It's about being a champion, being a real champion, not just a fake one.
4-car battle for position number 5. Danny Hansen, Nick Ottinger, Tom Lewandowski, and Brad Mahar, and Justin Bolton barely hanging on to this thing, about a half second or so behind this battle for position number 5, trying to reel himself in to Danny Hansen, Ottinger, Lewandowski, and Mahar for the spot. Adam Gilliland runs in position number 4 right now, Tony, about a second and a half ahead of this battle. He's the next driver to really look at it coming down if he's going to commit to that 3-stop strategy. And if I'm Adam Gilliland, I might stretch it as long as I can here as Lewandowski goes underneath the 05 of Ottinger to try to pick up one more spot. He will move to position at number 6 as Gilliland is staying out on the racetrack. And Tony, as I mentioned, if I'm Adam Gilliland, I'm staying out for a little while longer and try to get yourself a little bit closer to the sequence that these other guys are.
I think you're right, Tim. I think he, using that strategy, vaulted him forward as far as in the running order, but I don't know that it's going to pay off ultimately. He needs a caution right now, or once it cycles around for the second time. But he pitted on lap 41, 42 before, so in fact, here he comes right now. It's scary to say, double that up, it's going to be 81, 82, somewhere in that range, which is halfway through a 163-lap race. So here is Adam Gilliland on pit road. The second, one of the front runners on that 3-stop strategy. He'll come down to the attention of the Gary Mercer trucking crew. Slowly at 45 miles per hour, that blue and white Chevrolet. Finally, the crew able to jump off the wall to the right side. Right side rubber being replaced, and oh, what a breath of fresh air it is for that Chevrolet around to the left-hand side. Gilliland on the gas, waiting for him to drop the jack. We'll take a Sunoco Virtual Racing Fuel, and Adam Gilliland is down and away.
Great stop by Gilliland. Now the question is, who's going to be the next one to come down? Who's going to be the next one to follow him? It looks like I lost the car number there for a second. We at least know one more down on pit road, guys. I believe that was Justin Bolton that came down pit road just a moment ago. So now the question is, who's going to make it? Who's going to make the next one? Meanwhile, 3 wide around the 69, 82, 47.
47 of Chris Overland, one of the lapped drivers, as he tries to make his way through the field with the new rubber on his race car. Oh, one car up.
Oh, Peter Bennett.
The fence off of corner number 4, and he will collect it. We stay green. 4 car almost in the fence. 69 of Bennett. I don't have no sweet clue what he's doing here.
Oh, he's hanging on to it, Tim. That's what he's doing. Great piece of driving by Peter Bennett. Torn up, wadded up, and that was not what Chris Overland wanted to look in the mirror and see. And fortunately, Peter Bennett able to hang on to it. And how is that thing still going in the same direction, Joe? That thing is, it's seen a can opener or two tonight.
It looks like it's been run through a can opener or two tonight. This is not Peter Bennett saving. He's getting back up to speed through turns 3 and 4 now. And what an incredible save, piece of driving, whatever you want to call it. Peter Bennett makes it work. He's now going to come down to pit road and see what they can do. Get the hammers out, get the baseball bats out, whatever you need to smooth out that sheet metal, get them out, because Peter Bennett's going to need some help.
05 trying to dodge his way through some traffic just past Danny Hansen, and now I believe that is Brandon Bowie, who is just on pit road in front of Ottinger, and then Blackford in the 33 going to go to the outside of the 05. You ride on board with Nick Ottinger. The next position in line is up 2 cars up, I believe that is, of Thomas Lewandowski, the 2 drivers just in front of Ottinger. The 23 who's tore up of Brandon Hoff, and the 54, those are lap vehicles to the 05 of Ottinger.
And this is that point in the race, Tim, where, again, everybody is on pins and needles. If you ran that 55-lap strategy, you've still got 15 or 20 laps till you come down pit road roughly. That is a long, long time. In fact, about 25 laps till you come down pit road to stretch it to lap 110 or thereabouts. So Nick Ottinger has got his hands full for a while. There you see him work by that number 23 machine of Brandon Hoff. Here comes Hansen, Mahar, all in the middle of that as Hoff has had contact with the outside wall as well. So he will allow the leaders to work forward. And again, up front, as this group chases them, Ray Alfaro and Mike Conti, the distance remains unchanged at 6.5 seconds. I still think, Joe, 2 stops is going to be the way to go.
Look at these cars. Look at the 5 of Mike Conti in traffic. Look at the 0-5 of Nick Ottinger as he comes off of turn 2 and 4. Look at just how hard they're having to drive to keep this car going the right direction. And you're still going to make the argument with me that their tires will work throughout for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, I am, because it's not so much the tires, it's the driver behind the wheel that can manage and finesse and somehow dance and ballet his way around this racetrack with those tires. Mike Conti is a championship caliber driver. He's showing it tonight. Same with Ray Alfaro, and those are the kinds of drives and car control maneuvers those types of drivers have to have, Joe.
Did you say ballet through the racetrack?
Why, yes I did.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Meanwhile, back out here at the Metropolitan,
would you like me to use the term
Opera, 05, the 32, the 13, all in line. They are battling for position number 5 on the field, or would that be the 5th chair there, Tony?
Yeah, sure, whatever you want to call it.
We run in the roof can of the 05 of Nick Ottinger, and you see just how close that battle is, just how tight that battle is between the 32, the 05, the 13. Tim, pit strategy will have an implication on this battle right here.
Cody Bias coming to pit road to get service on his race car, and you mentioned that little battle there, Joe, between Ottinger, Brad, and that Danny Hansen car for position number 4. Close call for the 05 and the 13 through that, as Ottinger tried to stop the bleeding per se and try to keep that position away from Brad Mahar, and he did so, but it was close quarters between those two drivers, and it looks like they've got it straightened away now. That is now the battle for 4th, as Bias did come down to get service on the number 27 car, so a little bit earlier compared to what some of these other drivers may be stretching it to, Tony. Conti, Alfaro, Lewandowski top 3, and it's about 6 seconds back to Alfaro from Conti, and it's about another 5 seconds back from Alfaro to Lewandowski at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty stretched out, and Conti, whoa, hello, trying to clear Jake Sturgis. That'll leave now 11 cars on the lead lap. Alfaro, Lewandowski, Hansen, Ottinger, the top 5 of those. Mahar, Hawk, Daly, Lawton. Oh, good run for Lawton, up to 9th now after pit stops. Sturgis and Harrison, the 11 cars left on the lead lap. And again, here's what we've got to remember, guys. Once this cycle of pit stops completes, the guys that are on the 2-stop strategy, Joe, they don't have to pit again. They're going to be in the spot they're going to be, and barring a caution flag, where they can all come down pit road and get fresh skins, they're going to be in the catbird seat, I do believe. And the way it's looking, surprisingly, well, I won't say it, but I'm thinking it.
Sis boom ba. Okay, never mind.
Conti's up in front as he just put another lap. You mentioned on Jake Sturgis, Brad Davies. Tony, I'm not sure what strategy he's on, but it would appear that he's on the 3-stop because I believe he's catching the 5 of Michael Conti and catching him in a fairly big way. That's 25th, 2 laps down, about to be 1 for Brad Davies as the 6 peels off to come down into pit road.
Yeah, Davies was in on lap 84, which would put him on that 3-stop strategy. And it might work out for him, it might not. Again, we'll find out here in a little bit. But that is why he has such speed on those sticker tires. 29.5-second lap times compared to Conti, who's about 6 or 7 tenths slower. But again, 6 or 7 tenths over the course of 55 laps, it doesn't necessarily add up to me between that and coming down pit road. So again, we'll see how it all cycles out. But Conti, I think, knows where his strategy is, and this is half the battle, Joe. When you've won races 3 times this year in various ways, as you watch this battle for 10th with PJ Sturgis, PJ Sturgis and Landon Harrison, there's a mental component to this game, Joe. It's all about knowing, yeah, I've won races, I've done this before, I know where I'm going, I have full confidence in my team and my strategy, and I think Mike Conti is there right now.
Well, we call this playing chess at 200 miles per hour for a good reason. As Alfala now comes down the attention of his crew, it should be, it may be his last stop, I'll put it that way. 4 brand new Goodyear Eagle tires, full tank of fuel. He is down and away, and Alfala is going to try to make it on 2 stops, it appears. Alfala will come in before Michael Conti, which is not what happened last time around. Last time we waited for Conti to come down, then he took his stop. So now all eyes are going to be on 5 of Michael Conti, who appears to be down on pit road now.
Yeah, Conti down on pit road for service on his race car, so it might not have been early compared to Ray Alfala. Lewandowski in the 16, going to stay out on the racetrack. I don't think he led that lap. He's going to come by probably next time and possibly lead a lap. But the 5 of Conti down on pit road, and this stint is less than 50 laps, Tony, so we'll see how this shakes out at the end of it. These guys are going to have to go about 65 laps to the end to get this thing signed, sealed, and delivered.
That is a stretch, and I'm very surprised to see them do that. As Conti leaves his pit box, guys, 65 laps. That's in fact, almost, well, about at 100 miles here in Atlanta. We haven't seen that since the days of the 22-gallon fuel cell. There's either going to be some major fuel saving going on, or something just happened to these guys' strategies that they've had to call an audible.
Now does my 3-stop strategy sound weird?
Well, yeah, when everybody else makes 3 stops, of course the 3-stop strategy is going to win. But 2 stops versus 3 stops, 2 stops wins every time right now, in my opinion.
That is right this moment, but it's not entirely unfeasible still to have a 3rd stop in this race. Tom Lewandowski currently being scored as your winner, as your leader in the number 16 machine. Mandy Hansen behind him, Mahar Ottinger, Byron Daly, your top 5. As in front of Lewandowski is the 5 of Michael Conti. Somehow he remains on the lead lap.
He just passed Lewandowski, actually, Joe, as he came back off pit road.
So that'll put him back on the lead lap in position number 14. As a couple of other drivers do decide to come down pit road, including Chad Lawton. So Lawton will pull away from his box, and it will resume competition. Lewandowski, Danny Hansen, Brad Mahar, your top 3. I just asked crew chief Jordan Hightower, who's working with the 2 of Ray Alfala and working with the 89 of Landon Harris, and I said, can you go a 65-lap stint? He said, unless there's some extra switch that these guys have that have an extra fuel tank, it's not going to happen. So these guys are probably going to have to come down, not for a full stop, but likely for a splash and go at this point. Unless you're a Lewandowski or a Danny Hansen or somebody else like that that's stretching it this far, Tony, this might be that 2-stop winning strategy we were talking about.
Exactly, Tim. You're exactly right. I'm shocked that those guys would run 55 laps and then cut it so short to a 45 or a 40 lap run here on this cycle of stops. It's mind-blowing, and I don't know if it's just a screw-up on the part of the drivers or what happened, but right now, if the caution comes out, Mike Conti, he's okay. He's on the lead lap. He'll be fine. Ray Alfala is not on the lead lap. Overland is not on the lead lap. He's almost there, but at the moment, if the caution comes out, these guys' strategies might be up the creek without a paddle, and this is a big time right now. I find it so hard to believe that both Michael Conti and Ray Alfala made such a, what I would consider an error in judgment, Joe, to come in that early and throw their entire race strategy away. Such a move that I'm questioning right now, quite honestly.
I was wrong. I'll leave it at that. I wasn't wrong. Lewandowski is going to go high. Let a lot of drivers around him. I've got a feeling that Lewandowski is going to be getting ready to make his next pit stop as he lets by Justin Bolton, Ray Alfala, Alex Scribner out there as you right on the number 2 of Ray Alfala. Alfala now getting around the 50 machine of Alex Scribner, and Scribner will go ahead and will also let by the 47 and the 36 as it looks like we have a couple cars coming down pit road.
13 is going to come down onto pit road and just confirm with Brandon Hastings, the crew chief for the 5 of Conti. He can't release the info when they're coming in, Tony, but he did confirm they cannot go 65 laps on a tank of fuel, so they will have to make another pit stop. It's just a matter of when. Hastings couldn't tell me when they were planning on coming down to pit road, but he did confirm that they cannot make 65 laps on a tank of fuel, which is what Conti would have to go in order to make it to the end of the race. I like Jake Sturgis' strategy. Jake Sturgis knows how to stretch fuel.
Jake Sturgis does. Byron Daly's up at second right now. He's on a two-stop strategy, it looks like. All the guys at the front of the field right now are on the two-stop strategy for the most part. If you're ahead of Michael Conti, you're on the two-stop strategy. Jake Sturgis, TJ Sturgis, Byron Daly, Thomas Lewandowski. Those are the four to watch. And if I had to put money on one that would be better than the others, well, I can't pick one, Tim. It's probably Lewandowski or Daly, but I think those are the two I'm going to put my money on. So maybe pull this rabbit out of the hat, Joe, and have everybody go, wow, how'd you do it? Because if you come down pit road a third time, your race is over. And it's such a huge, huge gamble for Mike Conti and Ray Alfaro in the championship picture to do something that is so almost amateurish to mess up the strategy that bad.
I don't, like I said, in no situation in my head, in my calculation, in my strategy, could they run this as a two-stop track. It just doesn't work. Atlanta's too abrasive. It's too fast. You need that extra stop. 16:50 now coming down pit road.
16 coming down pit road. Oh, 50 hits the cone coming onto pit road. We are going to stay green, but the yellow cone just went for a ride at the end of corner number 4. As the 5 of Conti will come by this time, and he will take the lead position. Adam Gilliland behind him by 4 seconds. So Conti, not this lap, I do not think, because Lewandowski already passed the stripe, but it will be Conti next time by, scored as the leader. And you look back to last year at Homestead, Tony, when Ray Alfaro tried to run the race backwards because he didn't think he had the winning car to win the race. So let's try pit strategy, and the pit strategy did not work out for the 2 of Ray Alfaro. Now, if we do get a caution within the next, let's say 20 or 30 laps, this takes everything out of perspective, and we're back into everybody being on the same strategy per se. But if this thing does go to the end, and the other thing is too, if you come down for a splash and go, if you're a Conti or a Ray Alfaro, more than likely you're not going to have time to take tires. So those other guys that are going to be out there on the new tires might have a little bit of an advantage on you as well. I don't know.
I think you might have time to take 2 tires, Tim, and I think if I were them, I would take at least 2 tires. They probably know what 2 tires will do to their car, because don't sacrifice the grip if you don't have to. If you're going to be on pit road, at least get a little bit of grip on that machine. But again, it's a gamble. I'm not so sure I'm open to them taking, or I like them taking for that matter, as this continues to cycle around now. Lap 112 going to go on the board this time. And again, a lot of it is key on the fact of some of these guys staying on the lead lap. Right now, Thomas Lewandowski on the lead lap. He's only 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Mike Conti, but we know Conti has to come back in. That in itself, the trip down pit road, guys, is almost worth a lap worth of time. It's a pretty big gamble, but I think I like Thomas Lewandowski's strategy, Byron Daly's strategy, all these guys that are trying to make it a 2-stop race. I think, again, they're in the catbird seat. They have command of this race, whether they realize it or not. But the thing that I've also noticed, Joe, the guys that have gone to that strategy are the guys that really don't have a whole lot to lose. Kind of shocking to me, because it kind of seems like the sure thing.
One guy who's driving, he's got everything to lose tonight, is Brian Blackford, the 33 machine, now being scored position number 33. But check it out. We did not anticipate him to be running at this juncture in the race. We did not expect him to do 109 laps, but look at him, guys, out there. He remains strong. He remains dedicated. And Brian Blackford, they say you can't keep a good man down. Well, there you go. Brian Blackford, proof that a good man who's dedicated to what he's doing will find a way to make it work.
And Schoenberg may be behind the wall in the Fit 5 because he just fell one more lap down, and Brian Blackford just passed him on the racetrack. 4 laps down to Brian Schoenberg's 5 laps down. So there's one more position. And Tony, it might not seem like a whole lot, but when you see the 33 car, with 4 races to go, he sits 8th in the point standing. So every single point in this series will count. If you're Brian Blackford, you're going to try to lock yourself into the top 20 and get into this series next year, try to recuperate in the offseason. And Blackford right now 32nd place. He's 1 lap behind Alex Scribner, who just had issues on pit road coming in the last time. Kenny Humpy We've documented his issues, and actually I believe the 30 or the 90 or 58 just came off a pit road there after having that damage earlier. It's thrown him off.
Yeah, when you get damaged here early, it really does throw your race for a loop because this racetrack is so fast. Aerodynamics means so much, and particularly when you're racing in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Tim, the competition is so close, you can't be off very much, and very much is a couple of hundredths of a second, and still expect to have a shot to do well. So a little bit of damage, whether it be from a fender bend or a accordion, a chain reaction, whatever, it's not going to be good for you. And Kenny Humphrey, unfortunately, in his day not going the way he expected. He was tail end of the top 10. Looks like he might be clawing back to finish on the stage, so to speak, by the time this season is over with. And this race, surprisingly, I don't think we expected this one, Joe, to be the wild card in the points. Mind you, we still have a couple that could be in Darlington and Richmond. But so far, this one is proving to be a little bit of a wild card in the points, or at least third on down.
Now, I don't think anybody, when we began this race, thought this race would go all green or could go all green. But here we are, lap 118, no jinx yet, knock on wood. But there's still a lot of great racing out here, and there's a lot of guys that are definitely throwing everything they have to the wall. I think when this is said and done, depending on what happens, especially up front, this could be a wild card race. But, again, that being said, it all depends on what happens between the 5, the 2, the 05, and the 26. Those 4 drivers control the season at this point.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Conti, Alfala, and Ottinger are on the same strategy at this point. I think Chad can go a little bit further, but I don't think it's that much. Is there any net gain? And if there is any net gain, who is going to gain the most? It might be a Chad Lawton deal if he can stay out a little bit longer than those other guys, and it might play into his favor a little bit, because right now, Conti, I don't know the exact numbers, Tony, but I'm pretty sure he's probably locked up the most laps led award as well this evening to take an extra point. And now Ray Alfala in second, that's one more point he can't get, so he's going to try to finish in front of Conti. Conti is going to gain again, and if you are in this championship hunt, you don't want to see Michael Conti gain any more than he already has. With 3 races left to go, you'd have to gain an average of 10 points a race. Yes, it can be done, but the way Conti's been running, it'd be pretty hard. You need some tough luck from that 5 car.
You really do. Like we said earlier, Tim, the best way to win championships is to win races and let the points take care of themselves. And that's exactly what Mike Conti is doing. We haven't seen this kind of domination from one driver as far as the win column is concerned in a long time. I mean, he's got 3 wins. Nick Ottinger only surprisingly has 1 this season after he saw 5 wins last year and still did not have a shot at the championship. So Mike Conti doing everything right. He's getting the good luck when he needs it. If he can't win races, he's finishing well, and that's the recipe for a championship, simply put. And when you're Nick Ottinger and Ray Alfala trying to chase the guy down, well, it's kind of hard to win a championship when you run behind the guy every week, Joe.
You know, it still just genuinely entertains me to no end. Michael Conti, the very beginning of the season, was only planning on making this a part-time season. He said, when I stop being fun, I'm going to stop racing. Yeah, I don't think it's stopped being fun yet. Let's put it that way.
Chris Oberlin just came down to make his final pit stop of the event. He has now scored his 2 laps down in position number 25. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I don't think Conti's done having fun, and especially if he continues the way he is the next 3 races, he's going to have a lot more fun over the off-season, as we got 1 more coming down onto pit road. Your top 5 before these guys really start peeling off. It's Conti, Alfala, Bias, Justin Bolton scored in position number 4, and Nick Ottinger in 5th. And Tony, we have 11 cars in the lead lap right now, and it's about to be 10, because here comes Busa.
Yeah, Busa, and to the attention of his crew, the pole sitter tonight. And again, that's a car you cannot miss. Let's just put it to you that way. As they go up on the right side, 2 tires at minimum, and it will be a complete 4-tire stop on his Toyota Camry. So Matt Busa, service now complete on the 3-stop strategy. Let's see where he cycles out. This is going to be key, very indicative, Joe, I think, of how these strategies are going to play out for Busa and everybody else who will be left on the racetrack.
So the Zebra comes out on track. Meanwhile, back on track, the 32 and 05 battling for position. That is going to be position number 4. Danny Hansen right now has the advantage over Ottinger. The 32 starting to put some distance on the Ring Toyota. Danny Hansen's for him position number 3. Ottinger 4th. And now Brandon Hawk, all he can do is look in front of him and hope that he can get a whiff of their draft. Schmidt in that mix as well, but he is a lap down. He's going to score position number 19, but that extra draft could at least help Ottinger get back to Danny Hansen and try to challenge for position number 3.
Yeah, he's got to get up there in a hurry. It's 18 seconds between themselves and the leader, but when you look back, Brandon Hawk, Cody Bias just came off pit road. Bias was ahead of them at one point. They're going to have to get going in order to keep up with the strategy. Bias comes off pit road after his final stop of the event, and there's one of those drivers, Tony, along with Conti and Alfala, that showed speed throughout this race. Keep a half eye on that 27, see where he finishes. He came in 3rd. I don't know if he's going to finish the race in 3rd, but we'll see very, very shortly.
Yeah, we will. He's lost about 2 3/4 laps to Michael Conti, roughly. Well, again, he was further back than that when he came down pit road. But you're going to lose at least a lap, if not a lap and a half, coming down pit road from wherever you're at. And again, that's why I'm wondering if the strategy is really going to work out. Now, if the caution blew again, that throws everything out the window. But 34 laps to go this time. We're clicking them off in a hurry, and that lady's starting to warm up over on the back straightaway, Joe.
Michael Conti continuing to run. 7 seconds between him and Ray Alfala. 18 seconds between Conti and Danny Hansen. Now the leader's starting to catch up on some big traffic in front of him. Justin Bolton getting around him to try to get one of his 2 laps back the hard way. In front of him, Rob Ackley, Ryan Blackford, Brad Mahar, Brandon Traburco. They're all looking for position. The 5 machine though of Conti, he's not letting it bother him. You know why? He's going to come in behind all this traffic.
5 car on the inside. He stays out on the racetrack. Rob Ackley just in front of him. Then Justin Bolton, who's pulling away from them right now. I don't think he's going to have to contend with Bolton, but the 13 and the Brandon Chaburko machines a little bit slower than Michael Conti. Conti to the outside of Brad Mahar to put him 1 lap down. That is your 7th place car if he can clear him down the back straightaway. 3 cars in front of him. As I said, Tony, I don't think he's going to have to contend with Justin Bolton. Bolton just unlapped himself. He is now 1 lap down, or unlapped himself from 2 laps behind the pace. He's 1 lap down now, scored in position number 21 as the 5 of Michael Conti continues to lead this thing. He completes 1:31 on the racetrack.
You know, I thought maybe Mike Conti, and maybe he still is, trying to save a little bit of fuel, just kind of right around behind these guys. But the gap between himself and Ray Alfala has not changed. But Conti has not been getting very aggressive to get by, say, the number 22 of Rob Ackley that's immediately in front of him, or even the number 48 car that's also immediately in front of him, and that's Brandon Chaburko. And rightfully so, Conti trying to, well, for a moment there, I was trying to say be safe, but he just about got himself in a pickle, Joe, and it wasn't the good kind either. As now, finally, he'll clear Ackley, he'll clear Chaburko, move Mike Conti by a couple more guys back at the tail end of 1 lap, now make them 2 laps down.
Well, you mentioned a moment ago, he didn't need to be aggressive to pass him. You know why? Because he's in the lead. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that lead, and unfortunately, making a pass, making a wrong move, especially on older tires, all it takes is one little ding. All it takes is one little ding, a little contact, and next thing you know, you have bought the eventually send you out of the race.
Michael Conti slowing down a little bit here, maybe conserving Thomas Lewandowski, who sits in position number 6 right now, Tony, a little bit quicker than Mike Conti. We know Lewandowski is on that 2-stop strategy. He's not coming back onto pit road. He's 23 seconds behind Michael Conti. Talked about those other guys in the same strategy. You mentioned the 93 of Byron Daly. He's about a half lap behind Thomas Lewandowski, so he's going to have to get up on his horse and start chugging back some intelligence, because he's got a long way to go to catch Thomas Lewandowski.
Yeah, he really does. But again, he could be in prime position for a good run if things cycle out well. And that's something everybody on that Slip Angle Motorsports team needs, between Byron Daly, Ray Alfala. Obviously, we talked about Brian Blackford and the situation he is in. But, you know, those guys, both Daly and Alfala, race with a little bit extra on their mind. Ray, in particular, because I know he and Brian are pretty close friends. And so there's a little extra on the line here for those guys emotionally. And it wouldn't surprise me to see maybe somebody try a little something in that Slip Angle Motorsports group as you watch Danny Hansen now get bypassed from Cody Bias and Adam Gilliland. That's not for positional Hansen. However, Joe, it is for position between the two of them. That's the battle for 12th now down the back straightaway.
The battle for 12th, that will go to Cody Bias. Bias gets around his teammate, and now we've got more drivers coming down pit road.
2-car onto pit road, and he will get service on his race car for his final stop. Now keep a half eye on the 5 of Mike Conti, and when he decides to come down into pit road, we'll see what Ray Alfala does do as Conti does stay out. Tony, you think this is going to be 2 tires?
I think it's almost going to have to be 2 tires. You're going to take some fuel, but it appears, yes, now they will actually get the right side up in the air on the Alfala machine, and it will be 2 tires and virtual Sunoco Racing fuel to top off the tank. Alfala down and away. Be interesting to see where he cycles out. Byron Daly motors by him on the racetrack, so Alfala is back to at least 10th, 12th, and then some through the running order. Mike Conti might be doomed for a similar fate. In fact, here he comes, Joe, peeling off the banking of turn 4.
Michael Conti, textbook, and slams the brakes on that 5 machine. Looks like he had some trouble slowing down to get on pit road. Able to corral it, though. He now goes down 45 miles per hour down pit road, and it was going to at least be a full tank, or at least a partial tank of fuel. Maybe 1 can, maybe half a can, and maybe is there going to be any tires? That's the big question. The tires will not go. Yes, check that. They will. Right sides go up. 2 virtual Goodyear Eagles. A splash and go for Michael Conti.
So that should hand the lead over to Danny Hansen in the 32 car and Nick Ottinger in the 05. They run down the back straightaway through corners 3 and 4 and in a lot of heavy traffic is the 32. 32 pit in this time. The Progi Consulting Ford down on the pit road. Nick Ottinger in the 05 will stay out and will lead a lap. That is a bonus point for Nick Ottinger in the 05 car. So if you're keeping score, the 26, I believe, out of our top 4 contenders in this championship, Tony, is the only one not to lead a lap this evening.
You're exactly right. He has just been trying to claw back from a horrific qualifying effort. So far, well, he hasn't done the greatest of that as things cycle out. Earlier in the race, he was up in the top 15. Now being shown 26th is Chad Lawton. Ottinger comes down pit road. That will hand the lead over to the guy we assume is on a 2-stop strategy. He is not going to make it to pit road, and that means, Joe, he's got 23 laps to hang on. Thomas Lewandowski, the next closest competitor to Lewandowski that's on the racetrack that has pitted. Wait for it. Michael Conti, 15 seconds in arrears of Thomas Lewandowski. That's a lot to ask of Michael Conti to reel in Lewandowski with only now right at 21 laps to go.
The only difference is Lewandowski has to conserve everything in that Ford right now. He has to hold on for the next 23 laps and hopes he can make it work. Ray Alfala, Michael Conti, they can drive the wheels off it because at this point it doesn't matter. 14 seconds a gap between Conti and Lewandowski. I've got a feeling Michael Conti can make it work.
He's gained 0.7 of a second the last 2 laps consistently. They have 21 laps to go. The tires are going to fall off, yes, but Lewandowski's, I believe, are going to fall off a little bit more as well. He might get there, Tony. Don't know if he can pass him or not. Passing him is a whole different ballgame. But right now, Thomas Lewandowski seems to be in control. It's just a matter of if he can keep Conti behind him for the next 20 laps or so, as the 36 of Justin Bolton's trying to unlap himself from the leader. That would be to put 12 cars in the lead.
All right, so here we go, Tim. We've got 20 laps to go now officially. The gap is, we're waiting on it to actually refresh as Conti now works off turn number 4. He'll cross the stripe. The gap right at 13 seconds. So Conti is going to have to make up darn near 6 to 7 tenths per lap. And Lewandowski, looking back at his timesheet, the slowest he gets over the course of a run is about a 30.3 second lap. Now he's in the 30.1s. You look back at Michael Conti, and especially with only 2 tires, the handling of that car is going to change. Conti falls off as well, and he hasn't been quite as fast, but again, the rate within 2 laps to go, because Conti is going to have something, well, I don't know, it's going to be close. Let's put it to you that way. It's going to have to maintain the 7 to 8 tenths per second differential, and that might be a little easier said than done.
12.1 seconds, the gap last time. Oh, check that, 11.5. That's the gap between Conti and Lewandowski. Conti is coming on hot, and I hate to say I told you so. In fact, you know what? I'm going to wait till after the race to say I told you so, because Michael Conti looks like a rocket sled on rails right now, and he will not stop till he sees checkers.
Yeah, I think Conti will probably get their Lewandowski that time by 30-20. This time by for Michael Conti. Comes across the line at a 29 at 39. So there's another, what's that, 8 tenths of a second or so. Yes, if a yellow does come out, it does throw it all off. But right now, Conti in position number 2. Brad Mahar has fallen back to 3rd. Alfala 4th. And he has Landon Harrison behind him. I believe Alfala just passed the 89. Who was running in position number 4. And the last time that I checked with Jordan Hightower, it looked like Landon Harrison was running like an undercooked cake.
And Brad Davies having issues, Tim, on the racetrack, blowing up that number 11 sponsor needed Chevrolet. But the good news for everybody else, he's on the apron, he's off the racing surface, and assuming nothing catastrophic happens to where he gets back up on the racing surface, that is a bullet dodge for Thomas Lewandowski. The gap now back down to 10 seconds with about 15 laps to go. It's going to be close. It's still going to it gets closer every lap. I don't know if Conti's going to have quite enough time, as the tires, well, now it's down to 9.4. That was 6 tenths of a second that lap. Ooh, I'm telling you, it's going to be a barn burner, Joe. It's going to be tight.
This will be one to watch for the ages as Conti continues to reel in Tom Lewandowski out there. And I have all faith in Michael Conti, and I'll tell you why. He's had a strong car all night. He's been a strong competitor all night. He has 3 wins on the season. And I've got a feeling as the gap shortens to 8.6 seconds, we're looking at potentially win number 4.
But behind these guys, when you look at that 2-stop strategy, there's some guys that are actually parlaying it into pretty good finishes, at least if they hold to about where they are. Landon Harrison's running 6th. Stephen Gilbert, and I don't think we've mentioned Stephen Gilbert's name all night long. He's running in 7th place right now. Well, yeah, Byron Daly's 9th. And then Jake Sturgis is in 12th right now. So there's some drivers there that we haven't really talked about all night long. They're not going to win the race, Tony, but they might get a top 10 finish or a top 15 finish out of it, which is more than what they probably had when we started tonight.
No, you're exactly right. And that's sometimes, you're not going to win the race, Tim, but you know that you're going to be able to improve where you would have otherwise ran. Tom Lewandowski's case in point, I think he would have told you he wasn't going to win the race tonight. I mean, he qualified 16th, and that, not that Lewandowski is no good, but just this season he hasn't really been spectacular, and sometimes you got to steal him, Mike, and Lewandowski is in prime position to do just that as the gap continues to shrink, but the gap is shrinking at a smaller and smaller rate, Joe. Again, it's close. Conti closing in. It's 11 laps to go this time. The gap is 6.7 seconds. He clocked in a half a lap, but he's going to need pretty much exactly 6 tenths of a second per lap. And he can do it. The last few laps, Joe, he hasn't had enough. The last few laps, it's only been 5 tenths of a second per lap, and it continues to go down as the run goes on.
Tom Lewandowski, has had 2 top 5s this season, 3 top 10s, nothing in the win column so far. Good news for him though, he is squarely in the transfer for next season. So, in any event, Thomas Lewandowski will still be solidly in for the season next year, but he would love to have a win to add to that.
And he's getting passed up in front. The 47 of Overland, the 05 of Ottinger, who are on that 3-stop strategy, are going to pass the 16, and that'll put them back on the lead lap. And Ottinger on the 47 and dumps him into corner number 2. And, we are still under green, and I don't know how, because the 07 and the 05 just ran over the 47.
Do not ask me what happened there. I don't know if there's something maybe, I mean, the grip level sometimes, it could be some of the issue, but how Overland held on to that race car, I'll never know. Great piece of driving by Chris Overland. And I think it could have been one of them deals, too, where Nick Ottinger might have wanted a yellow to get the free pass, but it's not going to happen as Ottinger now goes by Tom Lewandowski. The gap's down to 3.5 seconds. All those shenanigans in front of Tom Lewandowski, I think, just cost him the race, guys. He had to check up for what he saw in front of him, and that was enough that it's allowed Mike Conti to close in, and he is digging, and right now he's got plenty of time. 7 laps as they cross the stripe, Joe. But if it was not for that incident just now, I think Lewandowski still might have had him.
Now here's the question I've got. Nick Ottinger now is in front of the 16 of Tom Lewandowski, and he's not in a hurry to get away from him. He's just happy to run in front of him, the 05. What is he doing up there? There is something going on with that 05. Now he's starting to take off a little bit. But Nick Ottinger, is this payback from another race? Is this politics at play? What's going on with the 05 and 16?
I don't remember them having any history. The 16 and the 5 have the same team connection. The 05 doesn't have any issue, I didn't think, with Thomas Lewandowski, but he may or may not have just caused him, I don't want to say cost him a win, because we still have 5 laps to go this time by. Conti still has to gain 2.5 seconds on the leader, but it definitely did not help Thomas Lewandowski, and it definitely didn't help Chris Overland, because Overland lost 1 more spot to Danny Hansen in that exchange as well. Overland back to position at number 14 and just got passed by Mike Conti in the 5. You got to feel for Overland. Overland 5th in the point standings and trying to salvage a little more here because Chad Lawton running 20th. Overland trying to gain a few more points and try to move up a little bit closer to the top.
And here's the only other wild card that's in play right now. It's going to be played very quickly, and that is the Hansen. Hansen is a lap down, but he's in the fight for that championship. The last thing he wants is for Mike Conti to get any sort of extra points. Could he play a thorn in the side of Mike Conti while he's trying to chase down Thomas Lewandowski? Things are starting to get very heated. There's no question now Conti will catch Lewandowski with less now than 4 laps to go, or 5 laps to go. The question, though, is what's going to happen between now and when he gets there. Look at Hansen trying. Nope, now he's going to move up and let Conti go by. Now it's all about Mike Conti getting ahead of Thomas Lewandowski. And I think Thomas Lewandowski knows the writing is on the wall at this point, Joe.
3 laps to go at this juncture, and here comes Michael Conti. He's got the 16 in his sights. All he's got to do is go around him in the 5 like a predator looking for his prey. He's on the back bumper. Can he make the pass off of turn number 4? Conti gonna wait. Yes, he's gonna wait. He's gonna wait some more. 2 laps to go.
2 laps remaining in this event. The 16 of Thomas Lewandowski trying to hold off the 5 of Conti. Conti to the outside and trying to rim ride to the lead position. Lewandowski throws a little bit of a block. The 16 of Lewandowski trying to hold on to the victory. 5 to the inside. Can't get it into corner number 3. They'll come this time to the white flag. The 5 of Conti, your championship leader. Lewandowski in the 16 trying to hold on to the victory for his first of 2014. A white flag is out. The 2 teammates from J-Show go down into corner number 1. The 16 trying to hold on to this victory. The 5 of Conti trying to get a couple more championship points to pad this lead. Final time. Down the back straightaway, the Ford Fusion of Lewandowski. The 5 of Conti to the inside. Lewandowski throws a block. 5 to the outside. Can he get there on the final lap? To the outside goes Conti. Can he get the run?
He's going to play
out of
on
corner
the
number 4. It's going to be close. Out of 4, contact made. 16 car of Lewandowski going to go to victory lane.
Lewandowski did everything right, Tim. He slowed up in the center. He kept it glued to the bottom. He didn't let Mike Conti get anywhere around the inside of that race car. He made him do it the hard way. He used track position. He used the geometry of the racetrack to his advantage. And Thomas Lewandowski, Joe, give me my $20. The 2-stop strategy gets the job done.
It doesn't count if he shoves him into the wall. Rubbing his racing, sure, but it doesn't count if he didn't earn it.
Hey, we never said anything about technicalities. He won the race. It worked. And if it wasn't for that slip up in front of him that caused him to check up, he probably would have won it in a lot larger margin than that. And even so, Michael Conti was a 2.5 stop strategy. It wasn't a full 3 stop strategy. And Lewandowski coasts down to his pit stall. He gets the job done, Joe. What a job by Thomas Lewandowski, Tim.
Yeah, Lewandowski ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap into corner number 1. Just enough fuel to take away the victory here this evening. Conti in second, Alfala, Bias, Gilliland going to be your top 5. Great night for CBR as well in the top 5. We're going to step away for just a few moments' time, and we'll bring you back to the post-race show for round number 14 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
You got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
The first thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Welcome back to round number 14 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, awaiting our winner, Thomas Lewandowski, who finished off with Michael Conti. Excitement at the end, a little bit of sparks flying. Lewandowski takes the victory over his teammate Conti. Ray Alfala comes home in position number 3 with Cody Bias and Adam Gilliland from Cody Bias Racing in 4th and 5th. And we do have, I believe, Mike Conti in position number 2. We'll see if we can't bring Conti up here. Second place this evening, Michael Conti. But let's talk about the run to try to catch Lewandowski and the battle at the end with your teammate for the win.
That's pretty awesome, Tim. I had all different types of electronic problems today. The steering wheel was shutting off, and that wasn't very good. The air conditioner was making the power surge in the old attic here, and just nothing was going right. And a couple hours before the race, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get through the whole race without something breaking. But I kind of went old school, turned the air conditioner off, unplugged everything, and looked over the wheel and said, okay, here we go. And that was a great car. I mean, just an absolutely great car. Best car I've ever had at Atlanta by a mile. I'm glad that if I had to finish second tonight, it was to Tom, because he put a heck of a lot of work into it this week along with myself, and Jason Loafing helped out too. Just a great car, great finish, typical Atlanta finish. So just a fun race. I wish I could have won, but I'll take the points. So we gained a little bit more on Ray and Chad and Nick. So overall, it was a really good night for us.
You mentioned net gain of 2 points going out of this race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway over Ray Alfalla. Obviously, with Nick Ottinger having some issues in the closing laps of that race, he's going to finish in 10th, and Chad Lawton going to finish a little bit further down the list as well in position number 19. Are you feeling any more comfortable after this evening when it comes to the point standings?
Well, yeah, coming out of here with another 2 points. I mean, it's not a lot. If we would have won, it would have been another 3 or 4. But I mean, that car tonight was just something else. I mean, that shows me that we now have the cars, at least at the intermediate tracks, to really run with these guys, and we're not behind anymore like we have been the last couple intermediate races. We're there, and we showed them tonight that J-Show's got a lot of speed. All of our cars were really fast. Unfortunately, Brian had some problems early on, but Danny was fast for most of the race. Tom was fast in the long runs, and I mean, I just had a blast leading a bunch. So we go into the next 3 races. Darlington, you know, it drives like an intermediate track, so we'll be good there. Richmond's a little bit different, but we'll get that figured out. And then Homestead should be, you know, the same type of deal. So we figured out a lot of stuff this week. Just a lot of hard work from everybody at J-Show, and I can't thank all of them enough for their help, and all of our sponsors that back us: Garcerel, Main Performance PC, at Jeremy Lukaszka, JDR Graphics, just everybody that puts time into this. Abuto, I'm just ecstatic that I can go into the last 3 races and have a points lead, have a decent points lead, and still having fun. So it's been a great season, and once again, congratulations to Tom for the win. It was a really good strategy, and I had a blast running with him.
Before we let you go this evening, Mike, what do the fans expect at Richmond in 2 weeks? Because we haven't seen a short track type race in this series in a little while. What do the fans expect from Richmond with this current build?
Tell you the truth, I didn't even know Richmond was in 2 weeks. I thought it was Darlington, so that's news to me. But yeah, I don't know. We weren't very good at New Hampshire, so I don't know how we're going to be at Richmond. So you know, I don't know how we're going to be, but the car is really fun. iRacing's done a great job putting this car together for this build. It's improved in a lot of different ways. The tires are the best they've been in a long time. So it's going to be great racing. Great caution-free race tonight. Strategy, everything. You know, last lap battles. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less at Richmond. As long as everybody can keep their heads on straight and just get a few laps under us, so we don't have a bunch of cautions. It'll be another great race. And whenever Darlington is, that'll be fun too. But like I said, what a fantastic night. Fantastic night for everybody at J-Show and Drill Isle, and I really look forward to whatever the next race is, whether it be Richmond or Darlington. I'm excited to go anywhere at this point.
Wherever it is, going to be an exciting race. Congratulations to Mike Conti finishing in position number 2, and Joe, albeit it was position number 2 to his teammate, but not by much. You're with the winner, Thomas Lewandowski.
Tom Lewandowski celebrating a big win, and Tom, first off, I have to give you credit. I did not think the 2 pit stop strategy would work, but here you are in victory lane with only 2 stops down pit road. How'd you do it?
I don't have any idea. I was the first run, I wasn't planning on doing 2 stops. Right around lap 36 or so, I was looking at my fuel, and I realized I was really close to being able to do it, and that I could go 54 laps the first run, you know, if I just saved a little bit. So after that, I just kind of stuck to it, and I knew it was going to be close, but I somehow, I don't know even how I did it.
Tom, first win here in Atlanta, first win of the season. How good does it feel to be back in victory lane?
It feels really great. It's been a while. I've had some good cars in between, you know, but things just haven't gone my way always. But we really, really worked hard this week. Me, Conti, Hastings, and Jason Loafing. I think we probably spent about 40 hours testing this track to get something here that we thought was really good, and I'm just really happy everything paid off. You know, all that hard work paid off, and I just got to thank all those guys for putting in the effort to get us here today.
3 weeks left in the season. You're already, for all intents and purposes, locked into 2015. Are we going to see a run at maybe the top 10 for you and the team?
I would love to get in the top 10. I've been in the top 10 for all but 2 seasons, I think. So now I'd like to keep that up, and I think it's possible, especially if we keep having cars like we did tonight.
Tom Lewandowski makes the two-stop strategy work for him. He will find his way to victory lane for the first time in 3 years and for the first time ever at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congratulations, Tom. Great win tonight. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Looking forward to it, and I just got to thank David from the RCL too. He's my sponsor, and I'm glad I can get him to victory lane this season.
Tony Stevens caught with our third-place finisher, Ray Alfalla.
Big night for Ray, trying to chase down Michael Conti in the points. The good news for you, Ray, Conti only was able to get 2 points on you, obviously leading the most laps and the one spot ahead. Well, I guess technically, yeah, maybe 2 points. The one spot ahead of you and leading the most laps. Everything else you guys are pretty much equal on. Better, of course, point-wise than winning, but still he's able to stretch the lead now to 25 points. Is that a gap that you can overcome in the final 3 races?
Well, yeah, after what happened last year, I think any gap is, I don't think any gap is safe. Tonight, mostly just fought a car that was a little too tight. I mean, we were about second best. Michael was way out there, and then third place was kind of far back from me, so I just kind of spent the race running second the whole race, and, and then got third there. Tom did a two-stop strategy, which I considered doing at the beginning of the race, but there's no way to predict the race going green all the way. So it would have been kind of risky to save gas and then have yellow come out and be mired in traffic. So, we're trying our best and we're running well, but, Michael was running just as good or better than us. So it's, 25 points with the next 2 tracks coming up is really not that much, I don't think, regarding... anything can happen at those 2 tracks, Richmond and Darlington. So we'll see what happens.
If anybody knows that anything can happen, you're the guy that knows anything can happen. Unfortunately, you were on the downside of the largest and biggest comeback in NASCAR history a year ago when Tyler Hudson made up a race's worth of points on you in the final 3 or 4 shows. So you're hoping that you can be on the other side of that, I'm sure, here this year. The race tonight, it seemed like you talked about your fuel strategy and everything. Why was that first run as long as it was? It just seemed like if you were going to take that run to do the 2 tires, you'd split it up a little differently. Was it a audible when you saw other guys move into a 3-stop strategy? I mean, what was the catalyst that caused all that to happen the way it did?
No, it pretty much went according to plan. I was going to go 2 runs pretty long, so that then I could just take 2 tires and like half tank for the last stop. So nothing really. There was really no audible, I guess you could say, in the race. It was just whether some guys decided to pit every 40 laps and take 4 tires all 3 stops. I figured, let's take 4 tires, 2 stops, and then 2 on the last one, and it worked out pretty well. I don't have any complaints as far as the strategy goes, just that obviously looking back, yeah, a 2-stopper and saving some gas would have been the right move, but there's just no way to predict that.
2 weeks from now, we get down to a couple of the toughest tracks in the entire schedule. Obviously, Darlington, Richmond, and Homestead, 3 very different, very unique racetracks that are all tough in their own ways. What do you look for there, and what can we expect out of the Slip Angle Motorsports group going into those 3 races?
I think a good effort. We were going to be fast at Richmond earlier this year, and then the race got postponed because of the new build and stuff. So I think we'll probably be strong, and everybody at Slip Angle Motorsports works really hard. I want to give a shout out to Brian Blackford. He had a karting accident this past Saturday and got burns and a dislocated elbow, and he was still out there, completed the whole race. So I'm very proud of him. I thought he was only going to do 1 lap, but he went and ran the whole race. So that's pretty cool. And everybody else that supports us, Main Performance, CC St. Pedals, they worked great again today. Pro Geek, New Blog Hosting. And also thanks to Jordan Hightower and JD Laird for doing crew chief and spotter. It was I guess you could say for me, it was kind of a dull race because I didn't get to race anyone. But it was still a good result, and we're still in contention with the 3 races left.
In contention, that's all that matters for Ray Alfalla. He'll be the first to tell you that's all it takes going into Homestead. Ray Alfalla finishes 3rd. Let's throw it back over to Tim Terry, I believe, is caught up with somebody else down the pit lane.
Let's see if we can't catch up with 5th place finisher Adam Gilliland, and here he is. And Adam, let's talk about your race. It's been up and down, but I know this Cody Bias racing team really starting to gel here as we get closer to the end of the season.
Yeah, it's actually been gelling probably dating back to Charlotte. We've been having some really good runs. Car's been really good each week, and that's a testament to all the work Cody Bias and all the guys back at CBR put in. Really cool to see the results finally paying off.
And let's talk about this race. Did your team anticipate this thing to go green to checkered without a caution flag?
Going into the race, I didn't see it going caution-free, but after probably about 30 laps, started to get strung out, and I actually changed my strategy to make it to where I'd kind of be out of luck if the caution came out, so I needed it to go green, so I was really happy it did.
Let's look at this last 3 races upcoming. I know you're looking to get a top 10 position in the point standings. Kenny Humpy had some tough luck this evening. You're looking to move into the top 10. 3 races left to go. We have Richmond, Darlington, and Homestead. You won a big race in the NASCAR Pro Series at Richmond, so we know you run good there. What are your prospects for these other 2 racetracks coming up?
Darlington's really the wild card. You really don't know. It's hard to pass there. It's really important to start up front, so I think I'm pretty decent at Homestead and obviously Richmond. I've had some success there before, so these last 3 races are going to be good ones, but they're going to be challenging at the same time, so I look forward to getting to Richmond and seeing how the car is.
Now, before we let you go here this evening, I know the Gary Mercer trucking team does do a lot of special schemes throughout the season. We expecting anything new on this race car in these next 3 races? You got anything up your sleeve?
I don't really anticipate any new cars probably until Homestead, which it'll be an October race, actually on my birthday. So I'm going to probably run a pink car for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's really the only scheme I plan on running different to the end of the season. And yeah, I got to obviously thank my main sponsor, Gary Mercer Trucking. Brennan's actually in California right now on vacation, so I don't know if he's able to watch. I also got to thank you, Tim Terry, with Tim's Corner Motorsports, and JD Laird for all the work he does on my cars and most of the DWC field. Or NPAS, sorry.
Well, hopefully he was watching because he missed a great race. That's Adam Gilliland coming home in position number 5. We go to Cody Bias now in position number 4 with Joe Cortez.
And I'm trying to catch up with Cody Bias here in just a moment. You brought up, I'm sorry, Adam brought up a lot of good points, especially for Cody Bias Racing is moving into these final races of the season. Cody Bias now joining me here on the microphone. And Cody, Adam brought up a very good point. Cody Bias Racing as a team seems to be gelling very well right now, and it couldn't come at a better time with only 3 races left in the season. Looks like you guys are building up for big things for the rest of this season and into 2015.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The cars have been getting a lot better throughout the season. When the new build came out, when we had the new ride high rule, we were a little behind, but week by week we've slowly been making gains, and we put a lot of work here at Michigan for the NIS guys and for Atlanta for DWC. And we hit on something I think that's going to help us for the rest of the season. So hopefully from here on out our cars will be stout and something we can contend with. And we're starting to show the results that we know we're capable of.
Always a good feeling. Tonight, your second top 5 of the season. How good does it feel to know that you guys are really coming back on the up and up, and you feel like your team is going in the right direction?
Oh man, it feels great. I mean, it's showing that all of our hard work is starting to pay off. We might not have had the quickest car out there tonight, but we definitely had one of the most consistent ones, and that's all we could really ask for. And hopefully we're missing a little bit, but we got 3 more weeks to really find it, and hopefully by Homestead we'll have something to really contend with.
3 races left in the 2014 campaign. It starts next week. 2 weeks in time at Darlington. How do you guys feeling about your chances at Darlington in 2 weeks?
Well, it all really depends on how our practices go. If what we learned here transfers over there, and if so, I really believe we could have another strong showing like we did here tonight.
Definitely going to be a lot of fun watching you guys dance with the Lady in Black in 2 weeks' time. Cody Bias finishing 4th tonight. Congratulations on a great finish. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Can't wait.
Cody Bias finishing 4th tonight in the Elwood Designs Machine. Now Tony Stevens has caught up with a very special guest in tonight's race.
You look at the finishing order tonight, and you're going to go down and say, okay, Mike Conti finished 2nd. Thomas Lewandowski won the race. Ray Alfalo was 3rd. All these guys, the top 5 we talked about. We talked about points championships. We talked about all kinds of things throughout the course of the night. But the drive of the night was put on by this guy. He might have only finished in 31st, but Brian Blackford, we don't normally herald a 31st place finish. Why is this one so special to you? What happened with the last 48 hours or so?
Well, Saturday night I was competing in a race, and it was a freak accident, really. My cart caught flame, and there was an explosion, and I broke my elbow pretty severely, and I have 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my back. Pretty much throughout the entire surface of my back. So yeah, tonight was a little uncomfortable to say the least, but I'm just so fortunate just to be here, and this is how much I love the series. Really, it's really special for me to be able to come home and actually compete in this race. Honestly, this morning, actually last night, was probably one of the hardest nights of my life. I was struggling really bad, and I knew I wouldn't be able to race today if I started taking pain medication. So I avoided those as much as I could, and the option became available to actually leave the hospital today and probably go back in about 10 days or so and do a skin graft then. But for right now, I'm just healing up.
And we're glad you're with us. We're glad you got through that. You're healing up in such high spirits, Brian. I mean, so many people have been in auto racing accidents before, and we talk about at the cup level, it's their job, it's what they do, and we expect it of those guys. And while you're at the top level of sim racing, I think it serves as an inspiration for everyone. I mean, we've got, within the iRacing community, there are a lot of internal inspirations. We look at Morgan Schuley when he was with us and how he shared his battle with cancer with us, and so many others that take those burdens that would be so difficult for other people and share them with the iRacing community. This one seems to be yours. How important, even though we all compete on the racetrack, how important is the community itself to you and what you're now going through trying to recover from this accident?
Oh, it's pretty much my life. I have many byron within this community, and they are just incredible inspirations to me. And Ray Alfalo, Byron Daly, my teammates, everybody on Slip Angle Motorsports, they're so supportive, and I've met so many people just by sim racing, and I've met countless, probably a couple dozen, if not more, sim racers, and I really do like everybody in this community, and I wanted to show my support of the series, and I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to show my dedication to everything, and to my team. And I think I didn't get in anybody's way, I don't think, but I was able to stay out of everybody's way for the most part, and I'm really happy that it went pretty smoothly, and can't thank everybody. My team owner, Lisa Pineda, she's great, and I'm not gonna lie, that was really difficult. So I'm gonna probably go to bed here pretty quickly.
I was going to say, you're probably exhausted, and rightfully so, but man, what a performance. We're so glad to have you here. We hope to see you in a couple weeks, but more importantly, we hope everything goes well. Obviously, you've got a long road ahead of you, but it sounds like the doctors and everybody have done everything they can. They've given you the latest, greatest as far as treatments and things go to pull off some of the miracles, as you and I were talking earlier, that they have so far is absolutely astounding. Prayer is answered, no doubt. And we look forward to seeing you on the racetrack again, hopefully in 2 weeks, but certainly once all these procedures and things are done, Brian.
Yes, I'll try to make it back for next race. That one might be a little more difficult, but if if there's more cautions next week, I think I'll be a little bit better off. But the biggest thing I just want to get out there is that I really am thankful for everybody's support, and I can't wait to get back to full health. And got to thank my sponsor, Immunotech. You can visit www.immunotech.com/black, and you can find a variety of health products there that I'm currently taking to get me back to 100%. And Immunical is one of the biggest products I use, and it strengthened my immune system to allow me to be able to do this. I don't know if I could have if I didn't have that product available to me. So just gotta thank them and StemSimX, Slip Angle Motorsports, Snow Cone Productions, Ford, everybody. It's just it really touches my heart to see all the people support me and try to get me feeling a little bit better based on the circumstances.
Well, again, we certainly hope you feel better. Get yourself some rest. Take care of yourself. That's Brian Blackford. The finish doesn't show the real effort he put out tonight, as we talked about his story just now. If you're interested in keeping tabs on things that are going on with Brian Blackford, there's a hashtag we just started tonight. Hashtag GetWellBB33. You can use that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of those, to help keep up with everything Brian's doing. I'm sure team owners Lisa Pineda will keep everybody updated there. Obviously, on the iRacing forums, there's going to be a little bit more of a formal release and information coming out soon, where if you'd like to help contribute to the expenses of Brian Blackford and what he's going to have to go through, and not just the medical expenses, there's also many other expenses of daily life that insurance and all these other things don't necessarily cover. All that will be out there as well, and we'll try to keep you updated here on PSR TV each and every time we're on the air throughout the end of the 2014 season. Tim?
And as we get ready to close off this one, final thoughts, gentlemen, as we go into the final few races of the season. It's 3 to go, and Michael Conti has extended his lead to 25 points over Ray Alfalla. Nick Ottinger, 10 points behind Ray Alfalla now, and Chad Lawton, 23 points behind position number 2 as we go in. And pretty much a race behind right now, Tony, as we go in to the final 3 races. Are we down to a 3-horse race?
I think we are. I think Chad Lawton's misfortune in qualifying shows that qualifying is something you cannot overlook, particularly at the next 2 races with Richmond and Darlington, where it's very difficult to pass. A lot of things can happen, and it's very easy to get swept up in something that's not of your own doing. And I think that's a little bit of extra pressure for Danny Hansen, for Ray Alfalla, for obviously Michael Conti, and everybody involved in any title fight, whether it's for the championship or 5th or 10th or even 20th. There's a lot of things you've really got to consider. And I think, Tim, it's down to, at most, a 3-horse race at this point, barring any sort of major catastrophe for Mike Conti. Of course, we thought that last year with Ray Alfalla and Tyler Hudson. We see what happened then. All it takes is 1 or 2 bad races, and it is a completely different grudge match at the top of the point standings. But as a race as a whole, one of the most exciting races we have seen, regardless of points. It looked just like Classic Atlanta. It was all about pit strategy. It was all about who had the will to win, and Thomas Lewandowski wanted it a little bit more than Mike Conti did, or Mike Conti might have just wanted to finish a little bit more than Thomas Lewandowski did. Either way, it made one heck of a finish, Joe, and it's one I'm sure they'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks.
And regardless of all that, I'm told that I owe you $20 as a result of this, so I guess next time in Charlotte.
Yep. I made the bet, and you took it, and you lose. You might not have lost by much, but you still lost. An inch is as good as a mile.
BW3's on me next time I'm in town. Guys, more importantly, though, we learned a very valuable lesson, and we saw a very powerful demonstration on track tonight. The racing is great. The racing is fun, but more important to that is the entire racing community. Tonight, you saw all the competitors rally around one of their own to support him, to get him back on track, and to get him back believing in something greater than himself, than all of us. And there's no words that I have. There's nothing that I can say that can describe the generosity and charity that is shown by the racing community online. In iRacing and whatever it is you do, the racing community has always been some of the most generous, having the biggest hearts. No matter what happens tonight, we will always remember this as the night's race as the rise of Ryan Blackford, and more importantly, this is the race that was solidified the racing community, the racing groups as one of the biggest, the most generous, the most thoughtful of all of the communities in the world. And it's always an honor for me to call myself part of this group in the world.
And they all come together at great times. And obviously, Brian, get well soon. And we're all pulling for you. And this is they're going to put on a show in the next few races, and you're going to want to be here 2 weeks' time when we continue the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. It'll be round number 15 of 17 on the series, and it'll be Michael Conti, Ray Alfalla, Nick Ottinger, and maybe a couple of surprises going for the championship. It's a long road to hoe for Chad Lawton and the rest of the field trying to get there with 3 races to go with $10,000 on the line to the champion. That's going to do it for us here this evening. So for all of the broadcast crew, Zach Stanko, Ilka Happala, Matt Racing, Kid Thomas, Ian Bushing, Chuck Johnson, Tony Stevens, Joe Cortez, my name is Tim Terry. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time when we say let's go racing with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
The first thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.